Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Orthodoxy 101. Now today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. No, we are not talking about single malt Scotch whiskey. We are talking about another favorite of mine, which is wine. Now in this case, we're not talking about wine that we're going to sit at the table and enjoy great company with, although actually we are enjoying this wine in good company, which is the company of the congregation, the company of our community in the church. So this is why I have the chalice out here today, because we're going to be talking about what is it that actually can go into the chalice. Well, unfortunately, one of those things that cannot go in the chalice is single malt Scotch whiskey. So, what do the canons of the church say? They say that it must be a sweet red wine, so they leave it open. And of course, that wine now must be mixed with water, but that's a topic for another episode. So in the chalice, what we're going to place then is sweet red wine. Now there are a number of different options that many priests use. So I myself prefer the St. John Commanderia, the Cypriot wine. Now the reason I prefer this is not only is it a sweet wine, and I like it just as an aperitif afterwards, but also it has a higher alcohol content so that when I water it down, there still is the flavor of wine. Other priests like, and it's very popular, is the Mavrodafni. And again, more of a Greek wine, and this one is also red and it is also sweet. Now there's another one called Nama, and Nama is the one that you'll see in the priest's service book, and you can use that also. But what you cannot use, for example, is something like this, which would be a white dry Chardonnay, all right? Because the canons are very specific. Now, some Christian expressions use grape juice instead of using actual fermented liquid, i.e. wine. So why can't we use, or why don't we as Orthodox use that? Well, part of it is from a historical basis. If you look at the wedding of Cana and you look at what happened there, and Jesus' first miracle was to turn water into wine. So does it say that it was non-alcoholic? Well, let's go further in the story, and we have the steward of the feast that now says, aha, you have left the good wine for last, after men have drunk the good wine and become drunk, but you now have saved the good wine, even to the last. So we have the steward of the feast actually making a statement supporting the fact that this was a beverage that you could get inebriated from. We also have the words from St. Paul in his advice to Timothy. At the end of the letter, he tells Timothy, and you know what, Timothy? What would be good for your stomach would be to have a little bit of wine. And we believe that that wine is then fermented wine. So here are just two examples in now the New Testament where we see a fermented beverage being used, one by Jesus and then one by St. Paul. So in this sense, we don't believe that this was grape juice. Now I know that some Christian expressions say, well, what about somebody who is alcoholic and we don't want to now tempt them? The Orthodox Church's response to that would be the amount that I put onto the spoon, coupled with the fact that this is now almost a 50-50 mixture between wine and water, and the fact that it is truly the blood of Jesus Christ, that gives us confidence that we will not cause our alcoholic brother or sister to stumble. So one last comment I'd like to make about the wine, and again, this is just something that helps the priest out. Normally speaking, each priest has a particular communion wine that they prefer. So my piece of advice is, if they like Mavrodafni, or if they like Commanderia, or if they like Nama, then make sure that that's what you purchase for them. Because what can be a little bit difficult is when we have now different wines, because each community gets used to a certain flavor and a taste of wine, especially the children. Right? So see what it is that the priest uses and then try to buy that particular wine. Again, not that we're trying to market any particular wine, but each priest has their own preference, and find out what that preference is so that we can maintain a consistency among those people that come and receive communion. So thanks everybody for joining us for this Orthodoxy 101. And remember, like, subscribe, and share our videos, and we'll see you soon.